Welcome to the History of Rock Part 2. To those of you who took Part 1 of the class, welcome back. To those of you who are just joining us now with Part 2, welcome to the course. I should say, for those of you who had Part 1, who did Part 1, this will be a continuation. So a lot of what I'm going to say now is really for those who are joining us and taking the class for the first time. So for those of you who are joining us new here with the History of Rock Part 2, let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect in the course as it unfolds over the next 6 weeks. The first thing I think that we should probably address is the issue of the textbook. Because the Coursera philosophy is basically to make these courses available to as many people as possible, we really can't make an expensive textbook required reading for the course. So I've made it optional reading for the course. The lectures all follow the textbook, What's That Sound?, my textbook on the history of rock music. The lectures all follow the chapters of that. So if you are able to get a copy of the book, you should be able to follow that along. I think it's a richer experience with the book. There's more detail that I'm able to provide in these lectures. There are listening guides. So if you find the tunes in a listening guide, you can get into the music in some detail. I think it's a richer experience with the textbook, but it's not required. No material from the textbook will be on any of the quizzes or anything like that. The textbook is more an enrichment. Anyway, the textbook is currently in its 3rd edition. My publisher, W.W. Norton, has made an online version of it available for like half the price, less than half the price of the paper version. But if you can find a used paper version of the 1st or 2nd edition, it will still line up with the course and make it a richer experience. So I'll leave it to you to decide how you want to do that. I mentioned the listening guides, and that's one of the I think one of the drawbacks to this online format. There are a lot of wonderful pros to the online format, making the course available to so many people in so many different parts of the world. But one of the drawbacks is that we can't really play music on these Coursera videos. Because of the nature of the music business, we would have to license that music. It would make it prohibitively expensive. And if a textbook is too expensive, I got to tell you, licensing music for these lectures would just really be way too expensive. We couldn't do it for free. What's happened is in Part 1 of the class, the students banded together and found all of the music online, posted it in the discussion forum, and so they were able to sort of pull the music together. It turns out that it's available in different places in different countries and that kind of thing. So I would advise you to go to the discussion forum or to the Facebook page for the group and find all the music that goes with it. I'm sorry we can't talk in more detail about the music, but there's just the ways of the music business, and I even have to be careful how much I quote lyrics and that kind of thing, because those are all held under copyright law. One last thing I want to talk to you about a little bit is what the purpose of a course like this, or how to think about this course, because on a discussion forum during Part 1, a couple of people were wondering, well, why are you depending so much on just the groups that are popular? How about the groups that were influential but didn't sell many records? How are you deciding? And why aren't you mentioning the group that I really like? I think these guys are really important and all that. And all those are valid and interesting kinds of questions. I think the way to understand this course is that I'm mapping out a kind of big picture survey of the history of rock music. When I talk about particular artists, I'm really only talking about them as representatives of a certain kind of thing. So, for example, in Part 1, we talk about the British invasion. We spent a lot of time talking about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but there were a lot of other British groups that didn't get mentioned. It doesn't mean that they're not worthy or that what they did was not valuable or whatever. What we're trying to do is just to lay out the topography of what the history of rock music looks like. This is kind of the first pass on the history of rock music. If there's a group or an artist that you think deserves more attention and you want to make an argument for it, that's fantastic. But your argument is much stronger if you understand the broader context of the history of rock music. So that's what we're doing. I'm trying not to just talk about the groups that I like or the groups that I think are important, but I'm trying to remain as objective as I possibly can. And so I think that's the way to view an introductory course like this, as a kind of a gateway into the world of the history of rock. And then, subsequent work and reading and things like that you might do can be based on the context that's established by the course itself. So I did mention just a minute ago the discussion forums. The discussion forums are fantastic. They're a great way to interact with the other students in the course. I post questions every week. You can respond to those. The participation in the discussion forum is in no way a part of the grade, but it's very much encouraged. And we had a fantastic time in part one on the discussion forum. A lot of great things. And it's also the place for you to make the argument for various kinds of groups that you think also deserve our attention. To sort of augment what's already happening in the lectures here or maybe in the textbook. So those are just a few points. I really hope you enjoy the class. Welcome to the History of Rock Part 2.